okay, I need you to stop. Stop what you're doing. Quit the dishes, quit the read, stop what you're doing. Just stop and focus right here for just a moment. And listen, the beginning of a habit, this might be the most important thing I say for at least the next 20 minutes. The beginning of a habit is like an invisible thread, but every time so the beginning of a habit is like an invisible thread. However, every single time we repeat the act, we indulge in that behavior, we indulge in that pattern, we strengthen that strand and add it to another filament until it becomes a great cable and binds us irrevocable to that specific thought or that specific action or that specific behavior. How many of you guys got that? That was so deep. If you guys got that, drop a hashtag, I got it. If you didn't, say, Sherry, please repeat yourself. Well, welcome everybody as you guys are jumping on. My name is Sherry Hollenbeck. For those that don't know me, for those that know me, I just want to say hi again. Good morning. And I just want to tell you, I was bragging on you guys today. I was bragging you guys like I was telling some other people that I get the opportunity to hang out every single night, temporarily, for I think we got 20 days left, something like that, with the highest caliber of people. And we were talking about your inner circle is the 5 people you spend the most time with, that's who you become. And I'm like, forget the 5. I got all my juicy friends on here. I got 500 of the highest caliber people. And so if you guys are all highest caliber, that means some of your juiciness is rubbing off of me. So I just want to take a second and say I honor you. Thank you for being a part of this journey. And what this journey is we're reading this book, Waking the Giant Within. We're in chapter 5. We're finishing it today. Going to chapter 6 tomorrow. Hallelujah. Drop a hashtag hallelujah if you guys are excited about going to the next chapter. But all of you guys are at this level to where you want to do more, you want to be more, you want to serve more in all the different areas of your life. But I just want to take a second and just say thank you. Thank you for being a part of this journey, and I love you. There's a soft, juicy moment there. All right, so here we go. If you guys are just jumping on right now, go ahead and you're watching it live, just go ahead and drop down 1. If you guys are watching this on the replay, just drop down 2. All right, here we go. If you want, and here's what we left off with. Sorry, somebody just tried to call me. I said, look, don't you know your priorities? These guys are number 1. You're number 2. You're maybe number 3, but these guys are number 1. Don't people know that? All right, let's get back to our moment. Okay, if you or I want to change our behavior, there's only one effective way to do it. We must link unbearable, immediate pain to our old behavior and incredible, immediate, juicy pleasure to the new behavior we want to condition, we want to keep achieving. Common sense, you guys follow. 1, if you're following. 2, if you are super confused. See, the thing is I want you to think about this for just a moment. All of us have learned different patterns, and these different patterns of thinking and behaving to get ourselves out of pain into pleasure. An example is whenever you start to feel guilt, or you start to feel loneliness, or you start to feel overwhelmed, or you start to feel anger, or you start to feel confusion, you have developed strategies, not effective strategies, but you have developed strategies. Watermelon juicy. Very good, Kay. You're right. You guys have developed strategies to get yourself out of pain and into pleasure, and those strategies, they could be shopping. They could be sex. Oh my gosh. They could be food. They could be alcohol. They could be smoking. They could be yelling at your spouse, yelling at your kids. I didn't say they're effective strategies, but you have figured out strategies. Your brain has created these associations that whenever this happens, this doesn't feel good, this is pain, so I need to go over here to get out of pleasure. So you actually have this belief whenever you deploy these strategies, either consciously or subconsciously, you deploy these strategies for the way to get out of pain and into some level of pleasure. It might be a pathetic amount of pleasure, but it's still your brain has linked up pleasure to this, right? We learned about false neuroassociations yesterday. How many of you guys love the concept of false neuroassociations, at least to become aware of those? How many of you guys? Drop a 5 down below if that helped you guys out at any level. And one thing I want to tell you right here is I got something exciting to tell you. Is it okay if I tell you guys something exciting? I'm really excited about this. I have been getting my inbox blowing up with all of your guys' questions, and and the responses as you guys have been teaching each other on these feeds that I've been going back and go looking, you guys have been teaching each other, which has been amazing. And so one thing I want to do is if anyone has a massive breakthrough, during a conversation, I want you guys to go ahead and post it. And whoever has the juiciest breakthrough based on Bentley's opinion, we're gonna pick out one person and we're gonna give them some sort of a gift. just today, because we feel extra juicy. And the gift, I'm not sure, but it'll be something that will level up your mind. So if you have a big breakthrough or some sort of aha moment, drop it down below and Bentley will choose. Okay, bringing it back, Sherry. All right, so the question is, now that we already know that, like, how do you change these behaviors? What are these step-by-step you've been talking about, Sherry, on how to change these behaviors? I'm going to give it to you. So ready? Pen and paper. We need pen and paper. Mr. Bill, Darko, Patty, Verna, everybody, we need pen and paper. You guys got pen and paper? Okay, let's begin. Number one, there's 6 steps to this. Number one, you have to decide what you want and decide what's been holding you back. Oh my gosh, that's so simplistic, Sherry. Why are you telling me something so basic? But I'm telling you, I cannot tell you how many people, and hashtag relate if you guys can relate to this, how many people tell me, hold on. I can tell you how many people, whenever they're talking to me and asking for advice, they spend like half an hour telling me everything they don't want. They don't want this, they can't have this, they don't want this, there's no way they'll ever tolerate this in their life again, period. And so, like, I know everything about what they don't want, and I'm like, okay, well, now that topic is thoroughly covered and checked, and I didn't ask you what you didn't want, I asked you what you want. Tell me, what do you want? And they're like, well, I don't know what I want, but what I do know is I don't want this and this and this and this. I said, I already know that, but tell me, what do you want? Well, let me think about that. Okay, so here's what I want, but I don't want A, B, C. I'm like, whoa. Okay, focus. Topic at hand. What do you want? Hashtag relate if you guys relate to this on any level. So one thing is, step number one, if you guys can write this down, step number one is you got to know exactly what you want. And the more clear, defined. Don't just tell me you want more money. Forget that. Like Tony says, here's $1, get out of here. Don't say you want to go lose weight, go drop a pound, get out of here. Like what specifically do you want to do? How much money do you want? How much weight do you want to lose? How do you want to feel? Like, give me your specifics. What exactly? The more detail, the more juiciest, the more emotion you give into it, the more effective it will be. But what do you want? That's step number one. And what is preventing you from getting there? And we talked about yesterday, right? These neuro associations we have with the concept of money. We have all these good associations, like it can help people, but all these bad associations, it brings in moochers, right? You guys like played all out yesterday. It was awesome. All your different juiciness. But what's holding you back? What limiting belief is holding you back? What behavior is holding you back? Like, what's holding you back? So step number one, figure out exactly what you want and what's holding you back. So drop it down. Just take a second. Just drop down exactly what do you want. Drop it down. I forgot my water, so I can't take a water break right now. Bentley, fetch me a water. I wish. Is there any dog trainers on here? If there's any dog trainers, you're hired. Come on over here. All right. What do you want? And the second part of number one is what's holding you back. All right, okay, here we go. Kay says complete confidence. Chrissy says move forward in business. Greg says I want the hard truth. I'm gonna urge you, Kay, can you guys just push the heart button for Kay? Can you push the heart button for Chrissy? Can you push the heart button for Greg? Can you push the heart buttons right there and celebrate these 3 individuals that stepped up and said, hey, look, I'm gonna interact. I'm gonna just lay it out there. Because whenever you guys lay it out there, it helps everybody else. See, I only relate to a certain amount of people. But whenever Chrissy jumps in, whenever Kay jumps in, whenever Greg jumps in, whenever Patty jumps in, all of a sudden the relatability circle gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So this tool we're using on video, you and I together are helping out this many more people. Because sometimes I get a little bit boring and I can relate to so many people. So thank you for your help. Okay, bring it back. Number 2. We talked about number 2. I want money. What's holding me back is myself. Okay, I'm going to urge you guys to be more specific. Thank you, Tracy. I honor that. But be more specific. How much money do you want? Christy, what does moving forward in your business mean? Craig. Okay, complete confidence. What validates complete confidence? Like I need specifics. So I'm using these 3 as a brilliant example to teach everybody else, the hundreds of thousands of people watching this. I'm having them be an example. You guys have to be specifics. How much money? What does confidence mean? Like confidence to go do what? Confidence to go do what? You guys getting this? 1, follow. 2, super confused. Hey girl, hey, as you guys are jumping in, drop a hey girl, hey. All right, Sherry, let's get to number 2. This might be a long one, so you guys might want to get some popcorn and hang out for a minute. Okay, number 2. You have to get leverage. So once you know what you want, what's holding you back, you got to get leverage. Number 2 is leverage. See, listen closely. Change is not a question of capability. Like every single one of you guys can change in a second, in an instant. It's not a question of capability. Like, can you change? Can you lose the weight? Can you make the money? Can you get the no. See, what human beings are capable of doing is like incredible, so inspiring, so like. But what they end up doing is very disappointing. Because it's not a question of capability; it's a question of motivation. See, if I tell each one of you guys, let's just go ahead and use Kay example for another example, Tracy for an example. Who else was it? Let's use Jim Lewis. Hey, Marilyn. Hey, Kim. Hey, Aaron, Stu. We're gonna use you guys for an example. Bam, Christy. Thank you for your specific example. Solid $2,500 a month in income with your side business. Yeah. Okay. I got so excited, I forgot where I was going with this. Example. I say, okay, you want to lose, you want to quit smoking. You've been trying to quit smoking, you just can't get yourself to quit smoking. You want to quit drinking. Okay, if there's enough motivation, you'll do it. Somebody holds a gun to your head. This is an example of, like, someone holds a gun to your head and says, hey, you better quit smoking or you're dead. Like, how many of you guys will quit smoking? Even those guys that aren't smokers, how many of you guys will quit again smoking? Hold a gun to your head. Listen, you got 30 days, lose 15 pounds and don't ever get it on again or you're going to be done. How many of you guys will lose those 15 pounds and never put it back on, right? So it's not a question of capability, it's a question of motivation. So to bring it back, how do you create this motivation? You have to attach, once you figure out what's holding you back, you have to attach intense pain to that behavior or that thing that's holding you back. What happens if you continue to believe this limiting thought that you're not good enough, that you have to have all your ducks in a row, that you're what XYZ, whatever the, hold on. You guys are getting really dark. Can you guys still hear me okay on here? Yes? Yes, can you hear me? Drop a yes, please. Yeah, I can hear you, Sherry. I still have some PTSD from last week whenever my phone died like 1, 2, 3 something times. Okay, so how do you create the motivation? Easy. If you continue to let this thing hold you back, what is it going to cost you? What has it cost you in the past? What has it cost in the present? What's it going to cost you in the future? See, listen to here. Listen. The only way we make a change now is if we create intense urgency so extreme we have to follow through, and we can't have mixed emotions. We can't have mixed emotions on this change. We can't want to quit being a victim, like quit being a victim to this relationship, and I want to get out, but I'm scared to leave. The fear scares me. I want to quit being, I'm sick and tired of being a victim to this economy, and I want more money. But I'm scared to go take risk in business. I'm scared. I want to quit smoking. But what about if I still die of cancer? I quit smoking, I still die of cancer, and then I end up not having the pleasures of smoking. And I quit, and I still got cancer. Like, you can't have mixed emotions. We talked about that with money yesterday. You can't have all these good emotions and bad emotions, because then if your brain has all these mixed emotions, then it's not going to know what to do, and it's going to shut down. And that's how you're going to get yourself to make a ton of money, and all of a sudden you start sabotaging yourself, because all of a sudden it kicks in, oh my gosh, money's bad. Oop, I got to go broke again. Okay, money's good. So you get up here, you build money, and all of a sudden, oh, money's bad. Oh, I got to go down. That's because of mixed neural associations. So the point of this is, you have got to attach immense pain to the bad pattern that you want to stop. Immense pain. What's been holding you back? What has it cost you by believing this belief, or by letting this one thing hold you back? This is not good. Bentley just disappeared. You got to attach immense pain to what's been holding you back. What has it cost you in the past? What has it cost you mentally? What has it cost you emotionally? What has it cost you in relationships? Who's no longer in your life anymore? What relationships are no longer there because you held on to this limiting belief? What's it cost you financially? What haven't you been able to experience? And don't just say it's costing money. Like, how much money? And by not having that money, what has it affected? Who's no longer in your life that could have still been in your life, but because you held on to this limiting belief, you don't have it. So you got to attach immense pain to the past and immense pain to the future right now. Because if it's not painful now, there's no motivation to move. Let's go change in 10 years, in a decade. Nah. You got to attach immense pain now. So what does it cost you right now? Well, what's it costing you this second? What's it going to cost you tomorrow? What's it going to cost you financially, emotionally, relationships, your health? Do you realize living in stress and guilt and all this stuff, do you realize that's killing you slowly? Do you realize that is sucking the life out of you? So what is it costing you right now? And what's it going to be costing you in the future? If you continue to hold on to this limiting belief, what's it going to cost you in 5 years, 10 years? Fast forward to the end of your life, you look back over your life and you're like, oh my gosh, I always made the change. I was going to put the game plan change. I was always going there, and now there's no reset. You can't go back. Like, you're done. There's no second change. You're done. What's the voice that you tell yourself whenever you look in the mirror and you always tried to, but you failed? You proved everybody right that you couldn't do it. What's the voice telling you? What do you tell yourself? What do your kids tell you? Anyway, so my point in saying that is you want to create massive, that's just an example, you want to create massive, intense pain to the bad behavior, to that bad limiting thought, that bad pattern that you want to get rid of, if you want to get rid of it. Because let me tell you this, complacency breeds stagnation. Unless you're extremely dissatisfied with your pattern behavior, you won't be motivated to change. So unless you get disturbed, you ain't changing. So how many of you guys have ever been disturbed in your life, or you're currently disturbed right now? Drop a hashtag, heck yeah, hashtag, heck yeah. Drop down if you guys are disturbed right now, like disturbed with your situation, any area of your life, either your love life, your money life, your health life, your happiness. If any of you guys are disturbed, drop a hashtag, heck yeah, or if you've been disturbed in the past. Because if you are, that's probably the greatest gift you could ever be given by our Creator, period. Because there's no change made unless you get disturbed. Where's Bentley, Kate? I don't know. Bentley! Maybe it's a bad idea to come out here. Bentley! Well, if anyone want to come find a dog hunt with me. All right, back on topic. Okay, so that's immense amount of pain to the bad pattern you want to eliminate. And now we got to build an intense amount of pleasure to the good behavior. The behavior you want to condition, the new behavior you want to have. And how you do that is you create intense pleasure now. Like, if I start believing this, if I start executing, if I start doing this right now, what pleasure am I going to get? What intense, juicy pleasure am I going to get now? Emotionally, in my relationships, who's going to be effective? Not just my family, but who specifically, what names? Financially, what can I go do for them? What experience could I give? What charities could I donate? What's it going to do? What's their expression? How's it going to pivot their lives? You know, what's it going to do for you in your relationships? How many more relationships are you going to have? Not in your marriages. There's only one person in the marriage. But other relationships, like what relationships are you going to be getting? Like what juiciness are you going to have in life? But you got to make it so intensely juicy. I mean, this is go in the closet and juicy it up time. Listen to some music, juicy it up time. How many of you guys like juicy? Drop down the word juicy if you love juicy. That's my favorite word. Just saying. Feels way better to say juicy than I'm doing good. I'm doing okay. Oh, we found Bentley. He's right over there. All right. Bentley is safe, in case anybody's ever worried about this. Okay, so coming back here. A great example of building this type of pain leverage is this one example. It's written that down in the book. It's about this lady. She really wanted to lose weight. She wasn't able to ever lose weight in her life until one day she listened to this lesson we're teaching right now, and she built up enough ideas in her head to build this pain. And what she did was her and her friend made this bet with a can of dog Alpo and said if they go off their diet of healthy nutrition, they have to eat an entire can of Alpo. So what they did was they put the can of Alpo on their desk. Every single time she got the urge to go eat the Jello or go eat the cake or go eat whatever it was, every single time she got the urge to go do something naughty, nutritionally, she would look at the can and read all the different ingredients. Chunks of horse meat. Like how many of you guys on here? How many of you guys on here? Like with that type of leverage, if you were threatened by your own self, you were threatened to eat a can of dog food if you did not hold onto your diet. How many of you guys that would work on you? Drop a 10 down below if that would work on you. I'm just curious. See, okay, here we go. I want to repeat one more time. Why is it so important to attach pain to the bad behavior and pleasure to the good behavior? Is because complacency breeds stagnation. Unless you're extremely dissatisfied with your pattern behavior, you will not be motivated to change. Do you guys got that? One following. Yes, I got that. Two super confused. Who's got this so far? Who's got this? Okay, here we go. And all right, number three is going to be interrupting patterns. And let's just take a moment. I want everyone to just share it together. Let's just take a moment. What are some ideas you can build intentional leverage to get yourself to go do something? Or maybe you guys have examples from the past. What's something you could do? An example was, if I don't maintain this diet, I'm eating a can of dog food. What's some of your guys' examples? Drop it down below. I'd love to take a minute and and do some shout outs and read them. And you can give other people some really, really, really good ideas. Drop it down below. Bentley. All right, next time that dog comes around, he's going in the house. Any dog babysitters on here? Let's see. Okay, I'm going to go to the next one while you guys are dropping your comments down real quick. Okay, number 3. Number 3 of the steps is interrupt your pattern. So now that you know what you want, you know what's holding you back. What you've done is you've built leverage, intense pain to the bad pattern, intense pain to the good pattern. Kay says, if I fail, I have to donate charity. I have to donate to a charity I hate. Oh my gosh, that is hilarious. We've done that before. Like if you want to get really big leverage on yourself, there's a website you can go to. I forget what it's called, but you can actually set your credit card to it. And if you do not achieve the thing you want to achieve, then by default, because somebody else is in control of it, by default, you have to pay X amount to that charity that you hate. So like, are there any Vikings fans on here? I don't even know if that's a football team. I don't play sports. But let's say you hate the Vikings. They're like the arch enemy, or the Green Bay Packers, or whatever out there, the CE somethings. But if you lose, then you have to donate, $100 or $1,000 to their cause. You got that? Like that would be leverage. Thank you, Kay. Okay, bring it back. Interrupt the pattern. What basically happens? I want to explain this to you guys. This is probably the most important thing I'm going to say in the next probably 10 minutes. I got another call I got to get on to shortly, so I got to hurry. Okay, so interrupt the pattern. What that means is that in your brain, I want you to think of your brain as like a CD. So if I play a CD of, what's your guys' favorite artist? What's your favorite singer? Drop it down below. What's your favorite singer? I can't even think of singers right now. Let's say, I need some help, you guys. What's your favorite singers? Those girls. Spice Girls. How many of you guys remember the Spice Girls? Drop down, oh baby. Maybe that was Britney Spears. I don't remember. Anyway, okay, let's say Britney Spears CD. You put a Britney Spears, okay, Gary Allen, we'll use around this Gary Allen. You put a Gary Allen CD into a tape. Who's gonna sing on the tape? Who's gonna sing? Gary Allen. You put a Celine Dion, you put Imagine Dragons, you put a Sarah Evans, Bill Bowens, you put anything country. Come on, Aaron. Michael Jackson, Melissa. Okay, you put a Michael Jackson CD into the record. Who's gonna sing? Michael Jackson. If you decide to do it 100 times, who's gonna sing? Michael Jackson's so predictable because the CD, there's a pattern on a CD. And every single time you're going to play the CD, it's gonna play the exact same pattern, the exact same song, the exact same person. Until, what happens if you take that CD and you put a great big old scratch in it? Like you scratch it. What's gonna happen to the CD? It's gonna skip. And what happens if you put another, there you go, Aaron, Luke Bryan. What happens if you put another scratch in it? Or what happens if you you scratch the whole entire CD up? How many of you guys have scratched up your CDs before? Oh. Back in the day we had CDs. Who uses CDs anymore? But anyway, you get the point. If you scratch it, you play it in, it's not gonna be able to play. The pattern is not going to be able to play. It's gonna skip, Greg, it's gonna skip, Kay, it's gonna skip. So the pattern can never play the same again once you scratch it. So what does this have to do with anything we're talking about? What do you guys know? Do you have an idea? I'm just curious. Everything has everything to do with what we're talking about, because what happens is if you do not interrupt the pattern that you've been indulging in for so long, that somehow you're going to keep replaying the exact same emotion, the exact same emotional reaction, the exact same default to shopping, to overeating, to yelling, to getting overwhelmed, to shutting down, going to silent treatment. So you got to interrupt the pattern. How do you interrupt the pattern? Have any of you guys ever been talking to someone and someone comes up behind you and is like, hey, pay attention to me. And you go over and you start talking and then you go back to go talk and you forgot what you were talking about? That's called an example of interrupting a pattern. Whenever something happens out of ordinary, in fact, the more, check out Bentley. He's red. Do you guys see Bentley over there? Oh, there's Bentley, in case you guys want to see Bentley. And there's my horse trailer. Any of you guys like to ride horses? Come on down. So that's called a stachoma. What happens is you actually create a blind spot. It's called a stachoma or scocoma, whatever, how do you pronounce it? But it's a blind spot. And it's a scratch, putting a scratch in that pattern. So an example is this, is as you start to feel friction, or you start to feel yourself going to that same bad emotional pattern, like you start to go yell, or you start to go overeat, or you start to go do whatever you go to that you want to stop this behavior. Even though you've intentionally set up leverage because of pain and pleasure, you got to scratch the record. And how you do that is doing something totally left field. Okay, completely left field, completely outrageous. The more outrageous, the more off color, the more inappropriate, the more like this is not normal, the more effective it's going to be. An example, one of my beautiful friends, she's going through a really, really sad moment in her life, and she found herself kept defaulting to the sadness and just this crying. And so I told her to do, I said, okay, next time you start to feel yourself do this, I said, just trust me. You know, I got time to explain this, but just trust me. Next time you start to feel yourself do this, I want you to start skipping down wherever you're at. Just start skipping in circles. And she was like, okay. So she did it. And every single time she started to feel that sadness, no matter what, she made herself start skipping. So she's started to feel sadness all the way through Walmart. All of a sudden, she starts skipping. She starts feeling sadness as she's walking into her house. She starts skipping down the middle of the road. Or in another example, I do this to one of the companies I run. We have this huge organization with all my family. But what I have them do is anytime they start to go into a pattern that doesn't serve them, I have them scream at the top of their lungs, oh my gosh, I'm so glad my feet don't stink. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad I'm not a bug in Bulgaria. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad, my feet don't stink. That's a common one we use all the time. Period. Now, but does it sound weird? Like, is any of this stuff kind of just like weird or off color to you guys? Just like kind of weird? I'm just, drop a hashtag. A little crazy, Sherry, a little crazy. And that's okay. Because what you've learned so far has taken you to the level you're at right now, which is a perfect level. But if you want to go to the next level, we're going to start making you a little bit uncomfortable and a little bit expanding your horizon. Because if you really want to, there you go, admit it. Thank you, Mr. Ryan. Because if you want to get to the next level, if you want to get yourself to quit doing these patterns, like this right here, pattern interrupts are gold. Anytime I'm talking to somebody and they start going into a certain pattern that I know is not going to serve them, so they start talking about their relationship and they start crying. You're going to find me asking them, okay, have you ever peed on the wall? I know it's weird, but the more offlandish, the more it breaks their pattern. And every single time they start going to that emotion, I'll be, hey, what's your toenail color like? Or Tony, a brilliant example Tony used in the book. If you guys are reading the book right now with me, he says whenever he has his clients go fly in, the second you say, okay, tell me about your problem. And the second they start telling about their problem, they go into the state and then go start bawling. And all of a sudden he starts screaming, don't you dare start talking. We haven't started the session yet. Like, he just freaks out on them. And all of a sudden they're like, oh, okay, I'm okay. And all of a sudden, like, they're not, like, on the verge of a breakdown, like, totally uncontrollable. All of a sudden, within a second, it's controllable. Because what he did was he put the great big little scratch in their CD. Are you guys following this? Drop a 1 if you're following, 2 if you're confused. Okay, so what happens is the second you start to feel yourself go into that pattern, understand yourself as like a CD. You've got something, make a massive scratch in that pattern, something outrageous. The more off color, the more weird it is, the more effective. And by the way, can you do this on your friends? Totally. They might think you're a little bit off, but I'm telling you, it works. Most importantly, you can now do this yourself. Another example Tony uses in the book is at dinner if your problem is overeating all the time. He says one example he had one client use is whenever the guy felt this urge to go eat one more roll, just one more bite, although the guy was stuffed and he was obesely overweight. Tony said the second you want to go do that, I want you to scream up and say, pig, 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 in the middle of the restaurant. Weird? I know, but the dude was able to overcome his eating addiction. Because what happened was it did two things at the time. Number one, it attached him its pain, because that's like, if you made a commitment to yourself that every single time you go overeat, you have to stand up in the restaurant and scream pig, like that's a little painfully embarrassing. So number one, it attached pain, but number two, it totally interrupted his pattern. I need to eat, go to eat, I can't eat, I'm screaming pig. You guys following this? 1 following, 2 super confused. It works. Another way you can interrupt your pattern, I wrote down a couple of them for you. Another way is if an event already took place and you want to like decrease the emotion. I had somebody ask me this question today. X happened, I'm feeling a lot of friction. Like, how do I quit feeling friction? Well, okay, step number 1. Go back and think about the memory and you're watching it like a movie. And now what I want you to do is I want you to replay the memory, but this time I want you to turn it into a cartoon. You're gonna play with the modalities. Turn the whole entire thing into a cartoon. Change the colors, change everything colors, like change it all to pink, and then change it to blue. And then what I want you to go ahead and do is, let's say it was your boss giving you friction. Picture your boss as a cartoon and make his nose really big. Make his lips really big. Make his voice sound like the Mickey Mouse or the Donald Duck. Like, just change up all the modalities. And what happens whenever you're changing the modalities in your brain, you're changing the way you feel about the situation. True story. Try it. Try it. One if you believe me. 2 if you no, Sherry. That's okay. I love you still if you don't believe me. So just try it just to disprove me, and then you'll be like, oh my gosh, she was right. Her and Bentley might know something. Okay, another thing that you can go ahead and do is you can actually do a scramble pattern. So whenever you think about the event that's giving you a hard time, then typically there's a language pattern in the back of your head. Language pattern, if you sit there and think about it, why is this thing giving you friction? Because it represents what you say in the back of your head. Well, I'm not enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not loved. I don't deserve this, whatever it is. Whatever the language is about the moment you have friction, all you gotta do is just scramble it. So if it says, I'm not enough, then just scramble it by saying it backwards. Enough am I? Or you're stupid and you can't amount to nothing. Then say that backwards. A nothing stupid, I can't even say it backwards. I can't even say it backwards. But whenever I coach people on this, I've had them actually write it out and then they have to repeat it backwards. And what happens is every single time you try to go to that default emotion, what comes into play is you've scratched the CD so many times you can't play out that same song. The Garth Brooks cannot play. The Ricky Martin cannot play. The Elvis Presley cannot no longer play because you put so many scratches in it. Every single time you try to go to that emotion, you can't go there anymore. Are you guys following on this? I know. We're bringing it home. Yes, 1, follow. 2, confused. I'm asking this just to make sure I'm checking in with you guys. Are we good? Are we good? Let me look at the ones. Ones. Oh my gosh, we got all ones. Brilliant. All right, let's move on. So what I want you guys to go and do is I want you to drop down what's some things, think of something funny. What's something you can do as a pattern interrupt? Whenever you go start to do that bad pattern you want to stop, what's something you can do? The rules are the more outrageous, the more off color, the more weird, the more memorable, the more like, the deeper, the sharper that knife that scratches the CD, the more effective it will be. So drop down some fun ways to where you can interrupt your patterns. I can't wait to read these ones. All right, so the purpose of that, just close home, is the purpose is we need to scramble the old pattern beyond recognition. We got to scramble it beyond recognition to where you can't go there, and then we got to create a new pattern. Here's a new pattern. Number 4, step number 4 is absolutely critical, and what that is the failure. The failure by most people to find an alternative way to getting out of pain and into feelings of pleasure. The major reason that most people try to change but they can't change is they don't find an alternative. So what happens is the reason you go smoke is because you think it meets a need. So if you quit smoking, that need still needs to be met. And if you don't intentionally build a new pattern, it's going to meet it through eating. That's why when people lose weight, quit smoking, they gain weight. A relationship, if it's a toxic relationship, the second you get out of that relationship is at some level meeting a need. So you get out of it, you can't just get out of it without replacing that need or making that need met somewhere. And if you don't consciously build the new replacement, which I'm going to teach you really quick, if you don't consciously build it, your brain will find a new pathway. And 99% of the time it's probably going to do a way that doesn't serve you. And that's why you go from a relationship to next thing you know, you're drinking or you're doing risky behaviors or doing some sort of weird thing. And that doesn't serve you because your brain's trying to find a way to meet that need. And you've got to always replace the pattern. So how can you do that? Let me explain. Whenever you want to quit smoking and you feel the urge to go smoke again, after you've already figured out what you want, what's holding you back, you built the intentional leverage, pain, pleasure, you've learned how to interrupt the pattern. The last part is whenever you feel like you need to go smoke, even though you set all those things up, what you need to go ahead and do now is go start breathing. Teach yourself to start breathing. Teach yourself to start running. Teach yourself to go bicycling. Teach yourself to go call a friend. Teach yourself to do something that something intentional to instead, like go grow, go learn something, go read a book, go listen to these Facebook Lives by Sherry Hollenbach. Whatever you want to do, but intentionally build a new pattern. So a great story that's told about in the book is this guy always chewed, and no matter what, he's always going to chew. He's like, I'm a chewer. I get enough pleasure from that. I don't need no change. Until one day, one of his friends accidentally built leverage in him and said, you know what? I have lost my respect for you. Because a guy that can't quit chewing, a guy that constantly chews, like, you are not living it. You have lack of self-control. You have lack of self-control. I thought you were a man of integrity. I thought you could control your emotions, control your actions. Anyway, his friend didn't realize that integrity was such a big deal to that guy. So the friend got leverage, and the guy's like, oh, I got to stop now. And so what he did instead was he threw himself into his work. He threw himself into a relationship and found that his needs could be met through the relationship and through the business because he got pleasure from chewing. How's that for a false neuroassociation? Chewing gives you pleasure. That's the green carpet. How many of you guys follow that? How many of you guys follow that? Drop a 1, follow 2, confused. All right, come back to here. Good job. Isometrics. Stu says, Jim says running, very good. Greg says splash water, cold water in your face, interrupt bad thinking pattern, go on a walk, do jumping jacks, drink unsweetened grape juice. there you go. There you go. Good job, you guys. Think about something a little bit, I want to get more intense and a little bit more crazier of a pattern interrupt. Want something super crazy, super off color, super weird, but it will be effective. Jim knows one. All right, here we go. To validate, to close this out, is I want to tell you a story about Nancy Mann. Nancy Mann, this is going to prove it with a study. See, I don't talk just like I got my facts. Here's a study. Nancy Mann, to evaluate what she did a study to evaluate the level of rehab in reformed drug users. And she said, group number 1, the only reason why they quit smoking or quit the drugs is because of external pressure, i.e. they were in prison. So when they were in prison, external pressure, they didn't smoke. The second the external pressure was lifted off, means they got released from prison, they were back on drugs. Point, external pressure does not work. If you're trying to if somebody else is trying to get you to change, how does that work? How does that work from 1 to 10? How does it work whenever someone's trying to get you to change and you don't want to change? Are you going to change? Yes or no? Yes or no, are you going to change? 100% of the people, the second they were out, away from the external pressure, they were back on drugs. Okay, number 2, second group of people, they were having internal pressure. Like they really wanted to change internally for their own reasons. Not externally, but internally, they really want to change. So whenever they were released from the situation, they were clean for 2 years. But they didn't have a replaced pattern. They just quit the pattern, and their needs had to be met some way. And so what they ended up doing was they circled back around and their needs were met again through drugs. They lasted 2 years because it was internal, which is better than external, but they only lasted 2 years. The third group of people, what they had was there was an internal pressure. They wanted to change, but then they also intentionally built an empowering alternative. They intentionally built another pattern to go replace it. So whenever they started to feel wanting to go use drugs, they decided to, go for a run. They decided to go call a friend. They decided to go work out. They decided to go do something that intentionally. And out of those guys, almost all of them, they didn't give an exact number, but almost all of them remained clean for the remainder of their life. But those that did fail, the percentage that did fail, on average, they lasted 8 years because they had internal pressure and they had replaced the pattern with another empowering pattern, So the whole entire thing, the last point that's so important about this, because I got to go. We talked way too long on this sucker. Any pattern of emotion or behavior, the last part is number 5, you got to condition. Like you can go through all these steps with me, but you got to condition it. So number 5 is condition. Any pattern or emotion or behavior that is continually reinforced will become automatic and conditioned response. Anything we fail to reinforce will eventually dissipate. Point to close out is you can walk through all those steps. Number 1, find out what you want and what's preventing you. Number 2, build leverage. Attach pain to the bad behavior, pleasure to the good behavior. Number 3, learn how to interrupt your pattern. Number 4, find an empowering pattern that you can go to instead of the old pattern. And number 5 is you got to condition it. You've got to condition it, because if you condition it, it's done. If you don't condition it, consider it doesn't work. Right here. Anything we fail to reinforce will eventually dissipate, period. All right, there we go. There's our 6 steps. There's our 6 steps that everyone's been wanting. If you want to make a change, you want to make it now, there you go, 1 through 6. If you guys got value out of this, drop a hashtag value. Drop down your biggest teaching moment, the biggest breakthrough you guys have. Bentley and I are going to go through and choose them. We're going to pick one person, and we're going to send you guys an Amazon gift. Just because we love you, period. That's it. So in the meantime, drop down your favorite teaching moment, hashtag value. In the meantime, have the best night of your life. Good night, everybody.